Shout out to our number 2 fan, Triffin, who just texted me and said, "When are you guys starting?" We're starting now, Triffin. Thank you very much. I also need to point out that Triffin threatened to send me some pictures that we probably shouldn't see in the middle of this. So,
oh God, yeah, let's not do that.
This episode of Nerds That Know is brought to you by our fine friends at Buffalo Trace and Sazerac. We would gladly take a sponsorship, so thank you very much. So, welcome to Nerds That Know. Generally, we've got more than just the two of us, Jamokes, but Goldagoon and the Duchess are previously indisposed and taking care of some stuff, so they will not be joining us this evening. So you're stuck with me and Tank. Tank, what's up, brother?
Last 2 weeks of school, and the kids are already losing their damn minds. So
are they over it?
Oh, they are so over it. They're actively waking up an hour later than they have this entire year.
Oh, Jesus.
So we have to speed run the mornings now. We have just...
Jesus. What a mess. I remember those days.
Besides that, no, good.
So I was listening to some sports talk radio today, and a couple of the guys are former professional athletes that I was listening to, and they were asking Chat GPT to describe their own personal careers, and it was actually kind of humorous. So I asked Chat GPT to describe My Brother Is an Idiot podcast.
What did you feed it to give it information?
I just asked. I said, please describe
the
My Brother Is an Idiot podcast. And really, it's the first 3 sentences that are pertinent and funny. My Brother Is an Idiot is a comedic podcast that revolves around the humorous and often absurd antics of 2 brothers. Legit. The hosts, who affectionately refer to each other as Idiot and Smart One, share amusing stories, anecdotes, and personal experiences from their lives. It goes on to talk about some other stuff that we don't actually do.
That's fantastic,
right? And I asked ChatGPT, what source did you use? And it was very upfront and said, I didn't use any source. This is just my language model, and I described what I thought that podcast would sound like, knowing nothing about the actual podcast. And
that's brilliant.
The fact that he called out Idiot and the Smart One.
hence the new name.
Hence the new name, yes, the Smart One. And Mark's not here to contradict it, so fuck him.
There we go.
Well, congratulations on almost being done with school. I mean, it'll be nice, I guess, to have them home all day long-ish.
Right. When I was a kid, there was this thing called summer camp. And
there you go.
It used to be a lot cheaper. Now it's like $400 a week.
Yeah,
so
summer camp's not.
Huh?
Summer camp's not super cheap. Never has been.
No, it used to be cheaper. At least
right.
Through like the YMCA and Boys and Girls Club, and you could get away with some stuff,
Right.
I was looking into it the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, I might as well just send them to boarding school at this point because it's going to cost the same. So,
yeah, right. I mean, anything to get them out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Until they're actually gone out of the house for good. And it's like, well, now what do we do? Because that's where we're at.
I've already got plans for that. We'll see.
There you go. There you go. I mean, you got some years yet. So
yeah,
plans may change.
Yes, I've got 14 years roughly.
Yeah,
at least.
Exactly. So we have an action-packed agenda to include some stuff about the Disney Upfront stuff. We're going to talk about Dune. We're going to talk about Star Wars. We're going to talk about some Mandalorian, Muppets Mayhem. And to start, we're going to have a fantasy draft. Are you ready?
I am ready.
So in the vein of Star Wars, we'll do a content fantasy draft. So this is a draft of particular series and or sets of movies and or whatever, to just basically rank our best and brightest thoughts about Star Wars content.
Mm.
That makes sense?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I will let you go first. You can draft first, my guy.
Okay. Should I go for my third pick? We're going third, right? Third to first.
No, I mean, it's a fantasy draft, so you want to pick your best.
Oh, I want to pick my best.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that I will not be able to select the same. They're gone off the board once you pick them. It's a fantasy draft.
If I'm picking my favorite piece of Star Wars content, it is actually new. My favorite is The Mandalorian.
You're an asshole.
I absolutely love the spaghetti western style. I love the man and cub storyline and how we're getting all these little extensions of the universe built in.
Right. Let's just be honest. Mandalorian saved Star Wars. Recentered after the nonsense that was the sequel / prequel trilogies. Just so good in so many ways.
Oh yeah.
Built out the universe, gave us more depth, more stories. I couldn't agree. Number one, I couldn't agree anymore. And if you hadn't picked him number one, I was going to pick.
You were going to pick it number one. Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm going to go a little bit off the rails here. I'm going to select a single movie because it is a standalone movie, and in my mind, if you take the original trilogy out of it, it's the best of anything that they've done on the big screen. I'm going with Rogue One.
Such a good pick.
Yes, Rogue One is. It's basically the prequel to A New Hope, right? It ends 15 minutes before A New Hope begins. You know what's going to happen because they told you over the course of the original trilogy that everybody died. So you know what that's coming, but visually, the storytelling, the building of characters, it gave us more depth. And more different avenues we could go. I mean, we get Andor because we have Rogue One. We have other characters that show up in other media, right? So you've and then his name always escapes me. The guy who was originally in charge of the Death Star before Tarkin took it over. He shows up in Rogue One, and then he shows up in cartoons, right? So there's more that movie gave us than just the actual story itself. And it's just a fantastic movie. It's so good. So
it may be the best movie out of the Star Wars movies, honestly.
Yeah. It's absolutely the best if you flush the original trilogy, right? I think it's better than any of the sequels and any of the prequels. Definitely better than Solo. It's awesome.
That one was snake bitten, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it was good for what it was, but whatever. All right, your second pick, sir.
Okay, so before I choose my second pick, I will say this: the lightsaber battles, not the storyline necessary, but the lightsaber battles for the sequel trilogy with the starting with Force Awakens were awesome. Mm-hmm. Especially the Rey and Kylo showdown when they're on the water. I absolutely love that fight. But yeah, those movies were not great. But I loved the lightsaber battles in those. For my number 2 pick, I'm going to go with... God, this is tough. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Clone Wars series.
Okay.
Because once again, it's so much. There's so much built out around it. It makes Anakin look like less of a whiny little bitch than the movies do. Right. Where he's just complaining a lot. You get a lot more background on, why the turn happens than they were able to give us in the movies. And I think that was a necessary thing. And I think them doing that kind of subtly lifts the prequel trilogy a little bit, because you can kind of say, oh, okay, if you include these stories into that, then you're like, that's not bad then, because you're filling it out. You're giving everything more instead of just some whiny little punk ass who, you know, what we got in the movies, which was not great. So the best thing about the prequel movies is Darth Maul, and he dies in the first one. So,
Right.
well, supposedly dies in the first
Right.
one. You
Yeah.
find out in the Clone Wars he's not dead.
Yeah. And in Rebels.
And in Rebels, yeah.
He finally dies in Rebels. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but that gives him an extra, what, 20 some years?
Right.
Yeah. That makes a huge difference.
Right.
Actually, fuck, that's almost 30 years, isn't it? That's like 30 years of extra history.
Right.
But yeah.
Which did they unkill him at the end of Solo?
There was a mention of something potentially being there, but I don't know.
There was a end credits. There was a post credit scene. Was it Solo? Yeah. I think it was Solo. No, maybe not, because he had mechanical legs. I don't remember what it was.
Well, he had mechanical legs ever since Clone Wars, when they pulled him out of the thing and they gave him mechanical legs.
Right. So I guess if you look at the time, it probably would have worked. Because he did show up. I'm not crazy, right? I know I've seen him in a movie, and it was an end credit scene, and I think it was Solo.
And I think Rebels takes place after Solo, so that would make sense.
Solo was before the original. Yeah, it would have to have been.
Yeah,
because
so that would make sense.
Yeah,
I think that's right. Yeah.
All right. So you got the Clone Wars. My second pick. He didn't do it, so I'm going to do it. I'm going with original trilogy here. 4, 5, and 6. For my personal opinion, Empire Strikes Back is the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And 4 and 6 are they're good. Not as good as 5, but the original. You don't have it if you don't have the original trilogy. So I'm going 4, 5, and 6. That's my number 2 pick. All right, what's your number 3?
As of right now, I'm gonna go because I think Skeleton Crew is gonna be cool. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But because that's not a thing yet, I'm going to go with Rebels.
Okay.
An extension of the universe. Once again, you find out that there's a lot more Jedi. I mean, considering that there was, like 10,000 of them before Order 66, I guess whatever they're at, like 40 of them is not a lot, but you get to know that there are more out there that have just been separated and, living in exile throughout the galaxy. I love that story.
Yeah, it was really good. Really, really good.
Plus Admiral Thrawn. Holy shit.
Yeah, God. Can't wait to see that guy live.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Shout out to Bad Batch, first of all, as an honorable mention. It's still going, so it's one of those that's like it's not done yet, but I think it's really well done. It's still got a little bit of that little kid influence to it. With Omega doing her thing. So I don't know if it's since it's not done, I can't necessarily rank it yet, but shout out to it. I really like it. I'm going to go off the rails again just a little bit, and I'm going to go with Star Wars Visions as my number 3. The different look, the different storytelling styles, the different animations, just the anthology style to it, where it's a bunch of unconnected stories. That limited series is some of the best stuff I've seen on the small screen. Not even limiting to the Star Wars universe. I thought that every one of those shorts was really, really good and really, really well done. And as an anime fan, I really enjoyed how they were able to merge the two, between, that kind of space opera, space wizard kind of thing going on, and the anime and Japanimation style. So I'm going to go with Star Wars Visions as my number 3. Here we go.
That's a good piece.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, there's our fantasy draft. Good job. You've got Mando, Clone Wars, and Rebels. I've got Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, and Visions. That's a good group.
Yeah.
We did pretty well. And I definitely would have had Mando if you didn't. So
it's the best.
It's so
it
good.
Really is.
It's so good.
Which is hilarious because it's 50 years after the original material, and it's still so like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense,
Right. Yeah. All right, let's move on to some other Disney type stuff. Looks like the Muppets Mayhem, the movie surrounding Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, is out on Disney Plus. I am kind of a fan of the Electric Mayhem. A bunch of years ago, I did one of those Facebook quizzes where it, tells you what Muppet you are. I got to be, I was Animal. I was probably pretty close. Like, that's awesome. Janice and Lips and Zoot and, Sergeant Floyd Pepper, just looks like a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially, kids not connected to the Muppets, I think could get in on it. And I think, especially, definitely our age bracket, that grew up with a lot of the Muppet stuff could really tap into that weird little story in the Muppet world. So I think it'll be good.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Is Rolf in this thing? I don't know that he is.
I did not see that.
I don't see that Rolf is in it. I kind of think he should be. Like, you need a keyboardist. So, but besides that, right? It's just, they're zany, they're fun, they're off the wall as Muppets, and even more so than most Muppets.
Yeah.
How close is your phone to your microphone? Because no, nothing. Okay.
Are you getting feedback?
I was. Yeah. Ticky 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 ticky. No, nothing.
It's still going.
Now it's gone. Okay.
Okay.
Nope. Now it's back.
Oh, fucking weird. I have no idea. Here.
It's not me. Bong.
There.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yes, much.
Okay.
Much. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. What is this thing? It's one season. What, 8 episodes? Is that what I'm seeing here?
Sounds correct.
Just, they've got a record exec, so kind of bringing the Electric Mayhem into the modern world, and trying to go platinum with an album, and of course, Animal.
Oh, God. The best.
Very good. Very good. So excited to watch it. I definitely will be checking this out. You got any other thoughts on Muppets?
No, not yet. I mean, okay. I'm going to watch it. I'm assuming probably this weekend, I would assume.
There you go. Yeah, that's one to watch with the girls, right? Yes or no? That's one to watch with the girls?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Shout out to Triffin, who's yelling about Animal being Keith Moon. Animal cannot hold Keith Moon's jockstrap as a drummer. Just hush. Keith Moon is on the Mount Rushmore of all drummers. Animal is Lars. Without the production ability.
Lars without the production. There you go.
Right. Lars without a mixing board. All right, let's move on to more Disney stuff. There's an opinion piece out on Smart News about a deleted scene from The Mandalorian that quote unquote fixes the clone plot line that they kind of brushed over. The Tank, did you get a chance to read this thing?
Yeah, I saw it. And it's all to do with a storyline that we were never really given or explicitly told. Um, we were hinted at a relationship between Gideon and the child for the longest time, now known as Grogu, and there being some sort of connection between the two, and the rumor sphere basically made it so it was like they were trying to get Grogu so that they could use him to clone for Palpatine to try and connect those storylines together. And that's kind of the idea that was. I don't think it was actually hinted at that much, to be honest. But that was what was run away with. That was the story that everyone took.
Yeah, that was the fan theory.
Yeah, that was the fan theory that everyone just kind of subscribed to for a long time.
Right.
Which I understand the merit to the idea there. We don't know what the connection is there, so let's make one. And they tried to connect it to the Palpatine storyline.
Mm-hmm. Or Snoke.
Or Snoke storyline, which is similar in nature.
Right. Here's what I think. I think that we're not done with it, and they seeded it to move into more into season 4. And here's why I think that. Every time we saw Gideon prior to this season, he had a mustache. His clones that we saw in the last episode did not have a mustache, nor did he. I think that the Gideon we saw die was a clone, and Gideon is still alive, and they're going to tie it all together in season 4 with the return of, not even the return, just he didn't die, his clone died, and he was trying to seed the universe with himself to take over, with him at the top of the food chain. That's what I think. I don't think that they buffed the plot line at all. I think they put it in there and showed us Gideon at the end of the last episode dying, but we're not done with Gideon. Not by a long shot.
And they gave us a little bit of information. They gave us the idea that Gideon is not force sensitive. Which we kind of knew. I'm kind of surprised that people didn't know that. Like, he's never shown force abilities. He can wield a lightsaber, but anyone technically can wield a lightsaber.
Right.
So I never really saw that, but apparently part of it was that he was trying to get blood for the midichlorians to build himself essentially a clone sensitive force of an army of force sensitive clones of himself,
right,
which makes sense in its own way. And once again, I don't think that takes away from the story. That I think that adds to the story. It's like, that's interesting. At least it's not just one person working for Palpatine's. That's actually one of the guys working for their own shit, which is good to have. Because, we got a little bit of that during, even though it wasn't great, we got some of that during the prequels with Count Dooku and all that stuff. And with Maul in the Clone Wars series of, hey, they're bad guys. Why wouldn't they stab each other in the back and try and push themselves forward? That makes perfect sense.
Right.
So Gideon building his own army, of course.
Right. Yeah. And the stuff they're putting out now, between Bad Batch, you saw a little bit of it in Rebels, not a whole bunch, but there was some, and then that whole what seemed like a throw-in episode where it was Mando for 5 minutes and then Coruscant for 50 minutes and then Mando for 5 minutes. I think that's more important than people realize. I think that there is definitely more clone stuff coming, and those two characters in that middle 45-50 minutes are going to be a huge part of that in season 4. And cloning is going to be a big piece. because we already know where it's headed, right? We know that not only were clones a big thing in the prequel trilogy, and they even reference it in the original. We had the Clone Wars, and then Bad Batch touched on it some, and Rebels touched on it some. But it's rearing its ugly head again in that post Jedi universe, and I think that's going to be a big piece of what they're going to tell in season 4.
Oh yeah, I guarantee we're going to get more of that story. I mean, they're going to, whether you liked them or not, the sequel trilogies, we are finally told at the end of it is basically it's still a clone story.
Mm-hmm.
We're told at the end of it like that. Yeah, that's been part of the plan for what would it be 60 years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been part of the story,
right?
And then it was just underground during the original trilogy, and we didn't get as much of it obviously at that point. But it is part of the original storyline that cloning's big. It's extending their mortality. But and that's what one of the biggest things with the Sith is they all want to be immortal essentially. Every single one of them at some point wants to control everything and never die.
Right.
So
have you heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Yes.
It was there. It was there. I'm just saying. You're absolutely right. Mm. So,
well, and yeah, that's all of them.
Right. And I don't generally like to react to opinion pieces, but I think this one's just flat wrong. Just because it wasn't the piece that you wanted, Mr. Author, I think that it's necessary because it's going to be more to come, right? I mean, I will almost guarantee you that we're going to see some of this in Ahsoka over the summer. Like, there's going to be, right? I mean, she was more, right? They're tying everything together. We had Thrawn mentioned in Mando on more than one occasion. Like, Ahsoka was looking for him in season 2, and then they called him out in season 3. We know he's going to be in Ahsoka. It's all going to tie together and be a bigger part of the overall universe, and I think cloning is going to be a huge piece.
Yeah, and her entire story that we have basically up until the events of Mandalorian is neck deep in the clone saga.
Mm-hmm.
That she started and ended her Jedi career during the Clone Wars.
Right.
So I'm guaranteeing there's going to be something connecting that in the future during the Ahsoka storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's enough about The Mandalorian. Let's move on to other Star Wars news. We know, Tank, that we are getting Visions Season 2.
Yes.
God, this is going to be so good. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I just love this one-off universe building. I guess universe building isn't really the word I'm looking for. Just more fleshing out and telling other stories inside the universe that don't necessarily connect to anything else.
Yeah, there's it's all standalone and it's different versions. It's different versions of a Star Wars story essentially, where stuff that isn't in the main storyline, it's impacting all around the galaxy essentially. All these other stories are also taking place. And it's really cool because it gives you a chance, gives people who maybe loved this, I'm assuming loved the Star Wars stuff, but wanted to tell their own story of it, which is how we got Mandalorian, how we got Clone Wars. It was these people loved these stories, but they wanted to tell their version of it.
Right. I totally lost what I was going to say. I had a thought. Yeah, I had a thought. I like the one-off, right? One of the things I really liked about Andor, and I actually mentioned it on an earlier cast, was you really got to see the impact of what was happening in the overall universe on the common man, and how what was going on in Coruscant and wherever the other central story nexuses were, how that impacted what was happening to Joe Blow. and that kind of down to earth, gritty feel about it. From the planet at the beginning and the prison and all of it, like how it impacted just people, and that's what one of the things I really liked about Visions too is like, that Jedi are still there and Sith and bad guys are still around. And how does that impact, the village of people who are just trying to exist, scraping out an existence in whatever far off rim world that they want to live on, or
Exactly.
they do live on. Right. And how that, how when a Jedi shows up and people show up to kill the Jedi, how that impacts those people. I really, really enjoyed that method of storytelling and how just the average denizen of the Star Wars universe is affected by bigger events. Although those bigger events aren't necessarily called out in Visions, but you can see where those events cause things to happen, and then you've got a Jedi walking the earth a la Kung Fu, and he shows up and protects people, and it was really cool, right? I really enjoyed it.
Definitely.
Can't wait for more. Can't wait for more. All right. More Disney stuff. Hey, you want to talk about more Disney stuff? Let's talk about more Disney stuff. Shout out to Triffin. He says the Buffalo Trace looks really good. Yes, indeed it does. It's fantastic. Thank you very much. The Disney Upfront. Do you call it a conference? Do you call it a expose? What do you call that?
Sort of a press conference, I guess.
Press conference. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not necessarily a con.
No.
Anyway, Disney Upfront's out. And it's where they talk about everything Disney. So you get to talk about stuff that's happening on Hulu and ESPN and Disney Plus and all the different properties and IPs that they own. Tank, if you'd like to touch on a couple of the major points that you found.
The big hitters were obviously the Star Wars and Marvel information that came out, where they kind of touched on Secret Invasion, Loki, Echo, and how those are going to be coming to the Disney Plus, but this year. I mean, I think we finally got a launch date for Loki, but I think that's the only one that we got a specific. Oh wait, no, we did get a premiere date for Echo also. What was that?
Yeah, that's this summer, right?
Yeah.
I think it's Echo first, then Loki.
We get Loki starts. Oh no, it's actually moving to the fall. That's what it was. We get Loki October 6th. And seemingly those are going to be going the week-to-week schedule again, just like the first season. And then we're going to get Echo November 29th, so right after Thanksgiving, and they're going to drop the entire series at once.
Right. I kind of like that. Like, let's change it up just a little bit.
Yeah, well, and like it's important, especially with Loki. It's easy week to week. With honestly, most of the Disney Plus shows, it's easy to go week to week because you know the characters for the most part that they're going to talk about. Right. You have a connection to them already. Not a lot of people outside of season 1 of Hawkeye know who the fuck Echo is. Let's be honest. Not a lot of people know that. So I think it's good that they're going to go with just a binge drop essentially, because that'll allow people to connect to that character and just kind of keep going rather than waiting and spacing it out and maybe, falling out of that attention span if it doesn't move fast enough. Whereas if you jump it all at once, even if the first couple episodes move a little slower, you're still getting so much of the story all at once that it'll keep you entrenched in front of your TV for hours, right, just like Disney wants.
Right. My tinfoil hat conspiracy brain thinks that because of writers' issues, they may have been forced a little bit to do this because they know they've got to get Daredevil off the ground, and necessarily doing Loki in the time frame and then doing Echo in the same time, once Loki ends, because I don't think they would run them even 1 week overlapping.
I'm assuming not. Yeah, it'll probably be 7 or 8 episodes
Right.
of Loki, right?
Right. So, I mean, if it starts in October, that's going to go all the way through November. If you were to do the week-to-week thing with Echo, then you're pushing Daredevil. And I don't know that they want to do that. So, because I mean, I'm thrilled, excited, and ecstatic, and can't wait for Daredevil, especially since it's 18 episodes. Are you flipping kidding me?
Yeah, that's gonna be wild.
Yeah, just that's gonna be so good. And they're obviously, I mean, Echo lives in the same it's universe, I guess is not the right word, but it's the same kind of vein of story,
Neighborhood.
right? Yeah, it's in the same neighborhood. It's in the same zip code,
Yeah.
right? Or area code. Let's call it the area code. They're in the same
There
area
you
code,
go.
right?
The
So, I
same
mean,
area code.
you've got that whole Hell's Kitchen, New York thing, and I think that in addition to, I think your point's pretty valid, where they want people to just to get into it and stay into it and not have people drop off. I think maybe there was some of that with Miss Marvel.
There was a little bit of a drop off with
Right.
Marvel.
Right. So, but there's that, and with Daredevil looming, they don't want to push that any further than they have to. So,
Yeah.
kind of where I'm headed with it.
But yeah, and then like I said, they gave us a sneak peek of Secret Invasion, which they hit, two of the main characters for that with Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury and Don Cheadle as Rhodey. And that got people excited, and I think a lot of people are in anticipation of that. So they were smart, kind of selling the Marvel stuff still.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a little bit of Star Wars coming out too. Got some first looks at the Acolyte and the Skeleton Crew shows, and we also got a featurette for Ahsoka. So there are two biggest brands right now. Yeah, pushing those definitely.
Right. And as the old man on the panel, I have to tell you, I'm excited for Shogun.
Yeah.
I remember watching the King of the American miniseries in the early 80s, Richard Chamberlain as the token white guy on Shogun. One of my core memories as a young buck was, I think it was episode 1 or 2 of Shogun, where a guy got decapitated on national television, and I just always remember the head falling away, neck, and you could see stuff and falling over. Read the book. It was all very good, so it should be exciting to see what they do with it. I hope they don't go the Ronin route, and whitewash it a bit. I think the original Shogun series and even the book were fantastic. I hope they stay in the same more Asian-centric vein than they do when they tend to throw a white guy in it, right? What was the Tom Cruise Shogun movie? Was that 47 Warriors or
47 Ronin?
Yeah, didn't he do one? I know I've seen something with Tom Cruise.
I know he did a samurai story.
See, yeah, it was a samurai movie. Yeah, right.
What the hell was that dumbass movie?
Right. Yeah, it was dumb.
Tom Cruise.
The Googling is fierce.
I am gonna do it right now. The Last Samurai. That's what it was.
The Last Samurai. That was it. So dumb.
Yeah.
God, what a crap fest. So yeah, I'm excited for Shogun.
Yeah, same here.
I know it's kind of a throw in for a lot of people who don't know the history of that as a media franchise. So it could be something pretty exciting. I think it'll be awesome. So, anything else you want to cover on Upfront?
We'll be talking about some of that next week with our with the sports stuff.
Yep, we'll talk about some sports stuff next week.
News came out that we'll talk about next week.
Right, that's definitely going to be on My Brothers and Idiots, where you get to hear Tank, the smart one, and the idiot. Thank you, ChatGPT. Also, in the last 2 weeks, we have seen the next full trailer for the second half of Dune.
Oh God,
Looks
so good.
So amazingly good. I've said it before, Tank, that that first movie is as true to source material as anything I've ever seen. Um, and as the biggest Dune fan, I know, having consumed just about every book and every visual media that they've made of it,
Every
in
variation of the Dune.
every variation from miniseries to movie to whatever else is out there, as good as you could get with the tone and the way it felt, and just so true to Frank's original vision. Um, and David Lynch can jump off a bridge for all I care. Is that God? I'll give it credit because I actually saw that original '84 movie before I read anything. That's what got me into reading it. And then when I read it, I was like, "Oh, this movie's trash." Then I read everything else, and then when his son took over and started writing sequels and prequels and encyclopedias and everything else, it was really good. So can't wait for this. October can't come soon enough.
Oh yeah, the sandworms.
Love me some Shai Hulud.
God, this is gonna be good. Yes,
Right.
we've been waiting for almost 2 years now, and
Yeah.
God, seems so much longer than that, but yes, definitely anticipating.
Yep. I'm really excited to really see what they do with Alia. That's such an underrated, creepy, bizarre piece of that story. As far as the original Dune book goes, and Alia shows more legs in the sequel, and God Emperor. So Children of Dune and God Emperor. And it gets a little weird, but I would like to see what they do with her, because that's gonna happen, right? I mean,
I'm assuming so. Yes.
yeah, she's such a huge part of the climactic action of that book, right? If you haven't seen or read any of it, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there's a gum Jabbar. There's things that happen, and it's just wild. So I'm really excited to see what they do there. And the battle between Paul and Fade is going to be fun too. They have announced that actor, right? I did see that, although I don't know who it is for Fade Ralpha.
Believe so. Really?
Austin Butler.
Is that who it is?
Yep.
Okay.
Austin Butler kind of has a little bit of a gore, a little bit of a gore vibe to him. Going full ball, doesn't have the Sting haircut.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
Yes,
can't wait.
Yes, that looks fun and interesting.
Yeah, right. All right, let's move on to other news in the world of nerddom. It looks like we're going to get some more Gremlins content on HBO Max. Tank, it's Gremlins: Secrets of the Mogwai is going to premiere on HBO Max as a cartoon. What do you think about this?
I really loved the original Gremlins movie. I know it's a really silly movie, but I enjoyed it a lot. So, I don't really know what's going to happen with this. I don't even really know what to expect. I mean, Secrets of the Mogwai. What are the secrets? That's going to be the interesting.
Right.
Like, what are they? We already know kind of what happens to the Mogwai when certain things take place,
Right.
But are we going to get to like the history of the Mogwai and where they come from, or
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's an origin story.
that would be sort of interesting,
right? Oh, a wild daughter appears.
Okay. I love you, girls. Come on, go bed.
Love you, Daddy.
Love you too. Go bed.
Is it nerd sit now?
Yep. Go bed. I love you, girls. Go to bed.
Hey,
Go to bed.
Daddy, what's the hi to Uncle Matt? Hi, Uncle Matt.
You don't have to.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Love you. Good night, girls. Love you. Go.
So what you got? What tonight? Scene?
Go to bed. Go to bed. Those are my gremlins.
Right. Mogwai.
No, hell no, they're not Mogwai. No, they are house destroying, potentially murdering.
Oh, that was so good. That was
But yes,
so good.
We are going to be getting. I'm assuming that's what it has to be, right? It has to kind of give us a origin of where the Mogwai came from, and
right.
What's the secret behind their that whole thing. I guess I have no idea. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm my expectations are not high, so if it's
Right.
at least decent, that'll be great.
Right, exactly. It just seemed like it was kind of out of left field. I'm like, you're gonna play there?
Yeah,
okay.
I had not heard a word about it until I saw the thing
Right.
for it this week, and I was like, "What the hell? What is this?"
Right. By the way, faithful listener Triffin says that's the cutest fucking thing he's ever seen with your girls coming in. So shout out to Triffin. At least we've got one viewer.
Yeah.
Nobody else is out there but Triffin. Thank you, Triff. Love you, buddy. Nobody, not even a toaster. Where's Toaster?
I have no idea.
that's what that gets, bruh. All right. That's enough about flipping gremlins. Next, looks like the CW's up to its normal shenanigans, and they're going to cancel the Winchesters and Kung Fu. Full disclosure, I have not ever watched the Winchesters. I did watch a few episodes of Kung Fu. Remarkably average. I kind of wanted more of that Carradine-esque kind of theme. I don't necessarily think we were going to get walking the walking the earth and Wild West that we had in the 70s and 80s, but we didn't get that. What we got was average storytelling with some organized crime, and it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprised that they're going to cancel it now. Whatever. What do you think?
I'm not surprised. We called this a while ago on the Winchesters thing. Like, they already told this story during the original series of what happens with Mary and John, kind of. I mean, they told it across the what was it, 13 seasons of that show, and they dipped into that pool several times. I kind of thought this was going to be a bust either way, because I'm like, what story are you going to tell that anyone's going to give a shit about?
Right.
Like, we already got their story. We got their story through their kid's story. And that seems pointless. And yeah, I agree with the Kung Fu. I really wish there was a Carradine on screen to make me interested in watching it more.
Right. And I don't necessarily think there needed to be a Carradine, but I think that something more along the vein of that original series would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't know. I don't want to sound, grumpy old man shouting at the world, but it wasn't for me. I think that's the way I'll put it.
Right. And again, it's CW up to their shenanigans again. They've canceled the entire Arrowverse at this point. With the only thing seemingly that's going to survive is going to be what's it, Superman? What the one they're doing right now?
Oh, Superman and Lois.
Superman and Lois,
which is actually good. I really, and that's not yes and no. It's Arrowverse. But it's different.
It's different, but I'm saying connected to that.
Connected, yeah. It's
universe,
in the same,
and that's not going to be on CW anymore. If it does go forward, it's going to be on, I guess, what's soon to be called the Max as of 2 weeks from now.
Right.
So yeah, they're canceling everything, which makes you really think. What? There's no Arrowverse shows. There's no, Winchesters, regardless of the form.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell are they going to be putting on CW? What are they putting
I mean,
on now?
I heard there's a Babylon 5 reboot coming, but I don't know if that's going to be CW or not.
Okay. In addition to
Hey,
that,
I loved Babylon 5.
Do you love it enough to watch it get redone exactly the same way on CW?
I'll give it a shot. Yeah, if they do the CW treatment, and it's all teeny boppers and Riverdale and I don't know.
I will say this: Riverdale made the Archie universe a little bit more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
By
Agreed.
killing motherfuckers,
right?
Which is what we always needed in the Archie universe.
I don't recall Archie and Jughead ever offing people.
No, the Punisher was in Archie at one point.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
A while ago, but that happened. Yeah. Remember he had to bust the drug dealers?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But Archie and Jughead didn't do any of that. It was the Punisher that was doing that.
So that's what they should do. They should bring the Punisher into Riverdale.
Yeah, there you go. Unleash Frank Castle. Talk about a crossover. Jesus. Or Deadshot. Let's just put Deadshot in Riverdale.
Let's go with the current version of Punisher, the one who's severely damaged and seemingly on the verge of being out of control at any second.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. That's my favorite version of the Punisher. Is what we got on Disney. Let's go. Or I guess that was Netflix. That was the last
Disney,
Yeah, they're going to bring him back.
They're bringing him back. So
they're bringing John back. Let's go. Let's see. I mean, they're doing Deadpool 3 and they're going to make it a hard R. So let's see what they do with Punisher on Disney Plus. I'm all about it. They're faithful to that theme and tone and everything that Frank stands for. And let's go. Let's see what they do. I'm excited.
Well, and I'm assuming Daredevil is going to be a little bit past some of the stuff that's been there because there is a very gritty history with Daredevil, and they're not going to try and, as much as we mock Disney and their Disneyfying of most things, I think they're going to try to stay fairly true to Daredevil and give it that rawness and that grittiness that you kind of need with that street level hero stuff.
A little bit of that viscerality.
Yeah.
And
not everything's cute and fancy. Sometimes you just got to beat the shit out of someone in an empty hallway.
Right. I don't know how we got from DC on CW to talk about Disney Plus again, but let's just keep.
Disney Plus is better than the CW.
Yeah, right. There was a period of time where, and it wasn't that long ago, where everything that Marvel did on the big screen was awesome, and everything that DC did on the small screen
was amazing,
was awesome, and vice versa. Everything that Disney did or that Marvel did on the small screen wasn't great, and everything that DC did on the big screen was terrible. And it seems like now it's just going to be all Marvel all the time until they figure out how to action. Until James Gunn puts out a movie, we'll see what that actually looks like.
I believe 3 years from now is the nearest one.
Right.
Whatever he does with Superman is supposed to be the first one, I think.
Is it Superman? Okay.
That's what it looks like.
I guess that makes sense. That's where you start, right? It's either Superman or Batman.
That's where the DC universe started.
Right.
Action Comics.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I mean, we know we're getting a Joker 2. We know we're getting a Batman 2, but I don't.
Those ones are disconnected. Though.
Yeah, those are different universes. So we'll see what the Gunverse in DC gives us with Superman without Henry Cavill. Sad day.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll bring back Brandon Routh.
No, he's Ray Parker. Okay, just
let's get some Tom Welling Superman.
Tom Welling,
gritty old Superman.
Right. Although I really did like him in Lucifer when he showed up as Was it Adam? He actually ended up being in Lucifer.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, Lucifer
was Cain.
Cain. That was it. Was Cain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Cain. Lucifer was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like even up through the last season, everything was just, oh God, what a good series that was. That was so much fun.
Well, and he showed up in what was that when they did the crossover for the Arrowverse, and
yeah, he had a cameo.
Had a cameo, and Luther tried to get him with the kryptonite, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't work here." I could say this in forever. He just punches him in the face like, "You're leave, idiot."
And I guess we'll see the reboot when it happens with the Flash, because that's going to be the thing that kickstarts all the new shit. I guess
if we ever get to see that movie, yes.
I am not counting on it. I'm not counting on that thing actually coming out. I don't trust that guy not to do something else stupid and get the whole shooting match just canceled.
I think it matter for one reason only, and that's we got the most recent teaser was Michael Keaton in the bat suit,
right,
and the Flashes all showing up in the same place, and it's like they're going to have to eventually release this fucking movie. They spent too much on it.
Don't we actually get a Brandon Routh Superman in that too for a minute?
I think so.
I know we get a CGI Chris Reeve.
I know we got 14 fucking Flashes all played by the same dude for some reason.
Right. And I'm pretty sure I think I saw a clip of an older Brandon Routh as a Superman. So maybe.
What they need to do is just cut Grant Gustin into the movie, have him knock out the other Flash. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's evil, and then the rest of the movie's Grant.
I'd be okay with that. Flash. I up until this last season when I lost interest, Grant Gustin as the Flash was actually really good.
Yes,
some of that episodic and some of the stories got a little bit goofy and off the rails a little bit, but between he and Iris and
their daughter,
that one was a little odd, especially since I saw her in Black Sails.
That's right, she was in Black Sails.
Yeah, she was really good and naked. So
yeah, that's a little rough for the Arrowverse.
Like, oh wow, she's so hot in that, and then I saw her as
a teenage girl. Yeah,
like, ooh, this one doesn't quite feel right. I'm not quite sure how I feel about
everything fits in the same box. What are you talking about?
No, it doesn't. It absolutely does not.
That's all you need. Right. It's gonna be everything now.
Yeah, just
all the movies from now on are everything from every movie ever.
Right. It's just all gonna be one giant mishmash.
Yeah.
Hodgepodge team up.
Either way.
Crossover.
CW seemingly sucks once again.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what they're gonna do.
Right.
I don't think they know what they're gonna do. Let's be honest about it.
No, I'm not.
Sell to Disney next year.
Oh God! Can you imagine if Disney had Marvel and DC?
Oh, I don't think there's a chance that
no, it would never happen.
Fully releases the DC universe to Marvel. That would take such a tremendous amount of money to make that happen. I don't think Disney has it at the moment. They're facing some stuff that they're losing a little bit of cash flow at the moment. So
it's Disney. I wouldn't put anything past them. They fucking bought Star Wars. We never thought that would ever gonna happen. So
true.
Who knows?
True.
I mean, Warner Brothers can't do shit right with DC. So I mean,
and that's the thing. We'll see what happens with James Gunn, and if they ever fire that idiot who did the transition and decided to cancel all the shit we wanted to see.
You're right. Right. Oh my God. What a mess.
Which is why we have Max in 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
HBO and Discovery and all their other bullshit.
It'll be there. Well, I guess we'll just have to live with Titans.
Oh, my wife will have Hallmark channel, so I guess that's great.
Oh, yay. Hallmark.
She loves the cheesy ass Christmas
Oh
movies.
God, the content of choice of just mindless garbage that this one watches is Lifetime Movie Network,
Oh,
and
thank God we don't go down that path.
oh God, and I just tell you that porn actors have more depth than some of the things I've seen on the Lifetime Movie Network. I mean, what is this? Like,
Pretty sure it's the same actors.
Yeah, it might be.
They aged out.
Yeah, right. Like, well, I guess we're gonna have to do some Lifetime Movie Network and
Yeah, what's more embarrassing? What's more
yeah, yeah. Softcore on Skinamax or or Lifetime Movie Network.
or Lifetime Movie Network? Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that horse.
Oh
shit.
my God.
All right. And finally, in the video game world, Tank, looks like the EU has finally approved Microsoft's purchase of Activision.
Yeah, that was seemingly the last obstacle.
Yeah. So Call of Duty exclusive on Xbox?
I sincerely doubt that's been the biggest thing that Sony has used to kind of fight this.
Mm-hmm.
Is well, they're gonna take away we own rights to Call of Duty, they can't take it away. And it's like they're not planning on taking it away.
Right.
That'd be stupid. They're gonna own the property. Why would they not want to sell it to people on PlayStation? That's dumb.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that MLB The Show is on Xbox now, because they're like, hey, you know that half of the market we don't have? How about we go get that?
Right.
You know,
Right.
they're not gonna. They're the only ones that seemingly may be impacted by that is the Bethesda stuff, and that still seems like it's not a. It's just going to be exclusive, timed exclusive stuff, and they're not going to take Call of Duty away from PlayStation at any point in time. I don't think. They're going to cut into their own profits, and
right.
We know Microsoft; they're not willing to do that.
No.
So
what they might do is kind of follow the model of some other big franchises and do, everything's going to be cross-platformed, but if you own a specific system, you're going to be able to have access to stuff early. Right?
Exactly.
Destiny did
that.
Yeah. PlayStation exclusive stuff that you got for 6 months before Xbox players even got a chance to get a hold of it, in terms of like guns and skins and
exclusive content, early access content, stuff like that. Yes, that'll probably happen. And you know what? That happens already anyway. Get over it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to take away the big franchises from the masses. There's no point to that. They already have their own exclusive franchises. They don't need to take away shit like Call of Duty to impact anybody there.
Right. I did see that theory floated, but I agree with you. I don't think it's going to happen.
There's no reason.
Too much. Yeah. Too much money to be made to sell, 400 million more copies.
Exactly. Yeah. Why would I take away $600 million away from my own payday? That doesn't make any damn sense.
Right. Backing up to the CW real quick. Triffin just sent me a picture. Said this dude was great in Flash, Scrubs, and Lifetime movies, and it's I don't know the actor's name, but it's the guy that played Reverse Flash, Eobon Thawne.
He's been everywhere.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff, but he was. I'll give that all credit to that call out. He was brilliant as multiple different people in Flash.
Oh yeah, he did a good job. It's funny he called out the Scrubs one because
Tom Cavanaugh. There we go. He just gave
Tom Cavanaugh. Yeah. He was the JD's brother in Scrubs, which was very funny when he was was there.
All right. That's the end of the agenda, my friend.
Is it?
Yeah. We covered about an hour's worth of stuff. Just the two of us. That's not bad. Good job. Final thoughts. Pimp the things. Talk about the stuff. What do you got?
I unfortunately have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy yet. That is my saddest thing right now.
I may try.
I just have had zero time to go see it.
Right. Yard work. That damn yard work.
I wish it was yard work. It's just wrangling gremlins at this point.
Yeah.
Find me here obviously every other week, and then on the My Brother's an Idiot podcast on the opposing weeks. You can find me at Knox Nostalgic Collectibles or Tank Knox on all the social networks. And yeah, there you go. Got some big movies coming up this summer. It's gonna be
I'm looking at like the movie slate this summer. Like, crap, I'm already behind.
Yeah, Spider-Verse is in like what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, Spider-Verse and Transformers and like Flash. And, oh my god, I can't.
Indiana Jones and
Indiana Jones. All right, can I get on my soapbox here just a second? Did you see the Indiana Jones promo that aired during the Nuggets game yesterday?
I did, yes.
Did you notice it was Lakers and Phoenix? That they called out? It was Lakers and the Suns in that promo. And whoever wrote that pile of shit, you can go fuck yourself. All right. Put some respect on the Nuggets name. That's all I have to say about it. And another news.
Tells you where that guy was thinking when that was written.
Yeah. Breaking news, Anthony Davis just fell down again. So
Did he get injured again? Or
no, he just fell down. He is always falling down. I think I could point at any part of the day and say Anthony Davis fell down, and it's probably true because he falls down all the time. That is the softest big man I have ever seen in my entire life. I'll go on a rant on that next week.
Which is unfortunate because he is legitimately skilled.
I know. Jesus. Shave the brow and stay on your feet, bro. Come on. All right. Too much sports for a Nerds cast.
Yeah, we'll do that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I'm all fired up. Make sure you catch us on My Brother's an Idiot and Nerds That Know. You can find both podcasts where all podcasts are found. Big shout out to Goldagoon and the Duchess handling some things. We miss you guys. Hope everything comes out great. Mark's Twitter is at Poffeltime. My Twitter is at Poffelopagus. You can find My Brother's an Idiot on Facebook. You just search that and we'll get you in. The Goon Twitter is at Idiot Goons. That's also where the Twitch is. You can also find me on TikTok at King Goon Smoke. We did Dino Plate ribs over the weekend for Mother's Day. Tank, they were spectacular.
Yeah, I heard you guys had a really good Mother's Day dinner.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We stuffed Mark full because he left your Mother's Day full.
And then we had Korean chicken.
Yeah, and then got fuller.
Yeah. I heard he's like, I have 2 dinners today, so I can't eat as much as I want.
Right. Oh yeah. We smashed some smoked short ribs. Wow. I'll send you a picture. They were so good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Next, I'm gonna try to figure out how to get a hold of a beef shank and do a Thor's hammer. That's coming.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. Yep. That's on brand for me.
Yes. Very on brand. Oh my god.
So good.
Oh man. All right, everybody.
All right. Make sure you take care of yourselves, take care of your families, take care of each other. This has been Nerds That Know. We'll catch you next time. See ya.